Hey, welcome to my booth. I'm Jay. Today's sample's from James. Thanks for sending this in, James. If you'd like me to review your audio, hey, there's a form in the description. Send me something. If you want to jump the line, you can join the Booth Buddies down below if that's up your alley. And there's coaching over on my website if you prefer that as well. Otherwise, thanks for being here and thanks for hitting the buttons if you've got the time. James, let's go.
In the back, one of them shouts. In a panic, he throws aside a capsized dolly and leans into the gap. He pushes himself into it and tries to force himself free. It is too small, too tight a fit for him. But there's nowhere else to go, nowhere to run, no alternatives. He wedges his body into the gap, squirming against it. He sucks a breath in deep, flattens himself, and pushes harder. Pressure building at his shoulders. He is pinned, wedged in the gap, and panic bubbles into his gut. Sucking in once more, he pushes off, throws himself into it with all his might. His shoulders squeeze through, his chest following. And then, like a student reprimanded, he is yanked back, the handle of his pack stuck.
Yeah, really tense moment there. Well done, James. Well done. Things that I'm really enjoying. Obviously, you've got a great sense of tension and the stakes of the situation. I love the exclamation at the beginning. That's done really cleanly. And what I mean by that is it gives me good delineation of they're over there, we're over here with this person panicking and stuff. So all really, really good things. First things first, on the technical side, you can just normalize this to -3 to give us a really healthy listening level. That's standard level for audiobooks is -3 dB. So that's just a super small thing that you can do. And otherwise, production quality, yeah, really solid. Your space sounds good in general and all good. Okay, so in terms of performance, one thing that you said that rings true was that you tried to bring intention to every line, which definitely comes across. However, what I think is happening, and this is my big critique, and I guess where to go from here. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble talking. But what's happening is because each line has such intention placed into it, which is definitely coming across, it feels as though everything has the same value. So you've done a wonderful job giving each thing a really healthy hammer strike, that they're all infused with a lot of feeling and intent. But for me, the listener, because that's happening on every line, as you've said, I'm not sure which points are the most important for me to pick up on, and sometimes even which words are the most important to pick up on. If we take a look at this little section here,
it is too small, too tight a fit for him.
So the big things there are it's too small and too tight, but we've put the emphasis on it is too small for him, too tight. And because we're hitting that emphasis so much, I get confused as to what the star of the show is in a way. And so this kind of small note, I think, extends to a fair amount of the sample here. And I'm not going to give you a line reading because you can read this anyway, but the big thing that I think will really, really help you out is letting the intention that you've infused in this still live. That's great. But allowing for moments of an ebb and flow there. Because right now, all of the intention is happening in the same way, which kind of makes sense because it's a really dramatic, intense moment. But if we give it like he tried to squeeze in and it's too small, too tight for him, and we have moments of quiet, moments of tension, moments of release, push, pull, that can make it much more alive and exciting and give more relief to your really great ability to add intent to lines in the way that you have here. So all to say, you can allow for more variance, and giving little moments that are kind of throwaways can really open you up to the valuable moments. So in terms of this scene in particular, it could be really interesting to, rather than stick with this sort of panicked energy.
In a panic, he throws aside a capsized dolly and leans into the gap.
Which is lovely. It's great to have that at moments. But if it starts off with, oh crap, I got to get out of here. He throws away the thing, tries to get in, and then it's too tight. It's too small. He can't go anywhere. He breathes in. He can't make too much noise, otherwise they'll hear, or however you want to handle it. I don't know the context of the book, but that sort of push and pull can add a ton of suspense that right now we're not capitalizing on that opportunity as best we could. Let's listen to this latter section and see if we can have any more specific notes. But that's my broad note for the whole thing. I guess this may take care of itself in terms of the allowing for the push and pull, ebb and flow, quiet moments. But some of your pauses and breaks, by virtue of, I think, you adding such intent to each line, as we played with this thing, for example.
It is too small. Too tight a fit for him.
Because that's one thought, it's too small, too tight for him. We can perhaps just truncate the spaces in between some of those thoughts.
It is too small. Too tight a fit for him.
And that just makes it a little bit snappier in terms of the overall narrative and performance. But I suspect that, no, my light. Oh, well. I suspect that might take care of itself after a spell. Let me turn this guy. Look at me, I'm in shadows. Okay.
But there's nowhere else to go. Nowhere to run. No alternatives. He wedges his body into the gap, squirming against it.
Yeah, so this could be a great opportunity for something like, I can't fit. There's no way. I can't go this way. And the doubt that I can't go this way. I have to find some other way. But there's no other way. I have to make this work. And then we can double down on the energy of moving forward. How do we make this happen? How do I make this work? How do I get myself through this impossible situation?
He sucks a breath in deep, flattens himself, and pushes harder.
Really great instances of the physical effort, I think, there. He sucks in, pushes himself, and tries to... I visualize that very well.
Pressure building at his shoulders. He is pinned.
This is a small, super-duper technical thing, but this isn't a hard rule necessarily, but it's pretty darn close. You generally don't want to put the emphasis on the is or the are or word. I can't remember the grammatical term for that type of word at the moment, but you want to focus on the operative word, which in this case...
He is pinned.
Pinned. Pinned is the important information, and is incidental to that. If I walk away from this whole thing, we could even cut out the he is and just leave pinned, and it still holds the dramatic effect in a way. So when in doubt, don't emphasize is or are, or those words. Emphasize the words that are through lines to the whole story.
Wedged in the gap.
So like there, wedged in the gap.
And panic bubbles into his gut. Sucking in once more, he pushes off, throws himself into it with all his might.
And this is a super small note, but the level of investment and intent, similar to adding emphasis to words, I think we can be easier with it in a way. So and I don't want you to get rid of it wholesale, because there are moments where that sort of emphasis in your performance here really, really works well and to your advantage and my advantage as the listener. But it goes back to my first note where if we're hitting everything with the same level of intent, emphasis, energy, then I, as the listener, stop knowing what really is important, and it becomes difficult for me to stay invested in certain ways. So in the same way that we can give an ebb and flow to the level of intent that I was describing earlier, you can apply that more granularly to specific word emphasis. So in this phrase here, perhaps,
and panic bubbles into his gut.
we're hitting panic and bubbles and gut, all with not the same emphasis, but they're all being emphasized in some way. And panic bubbles into his gut could be equally as evocative for the listener, but we don't have to treat each word as a nail necessarily that we have to hammer on the head, but we can use them as like waves or something like that. I'm big on images because they're helpful, but right now it's very percussive in terms of like panic, bubbles, gut, and we could say panic bubbles into his gut, something like that. So that might be a helpful way to think about things. But I'll leave it at that. Is because I'm worried that my light's gonna die on me in a second here, and then we'll be out of luck. But James, thanks so much for sending this in. This is really, really lovely, and let us know when the full tale is available if you so choose. And I look forward to the next sample from y'all. And until then, be well, everybody, and I'll see you there. Toodles.